Hey guys, happy Monday. This is Matt with another young adult Catholic video. Today's topic will be judging God's plan in the short term versus the long term. That kind of makes sense. So, if anyone is a big Packer fan, if you're a Viking fan, not a fan of you, but you had a great NFL draft. Packers were projected to draft a receiver because it was one of their biggest needs on their team. And me being a Packer fan, expected one at least in the first, if not second or third round. In this NFL draft, it was one of the best receiver drafts in a long time. First round, we trade up for a quarterback. You might like it, might hate it, whatever. And then second round, we go running back, and we actually didn't end up drafting a receiver in the whole entire draft. And a lot of people were angry and confused and upset, justifiably. But the thing is with the NFL draft, it's not something you can judge the day after it happens. You know, we got Mel Kiper, Bucky Brooks, all these guys are doing their analysis and judging the picks, but you can't really judge these picks until 3-5 years down the road because that's when they start making an impact. Just because they may have not had the most overall value according to the scouts at that time doesn't mean it wasn't a good pick in the long term. In fact, Aaron Rodgers' pick, just like Jordan Love, was heavily criticized at the time. Won't go into details now. It was a great pick. Anyways, so the reason I say this is sometimes in the short term, we doubt God's plan because we have this comparison compared to what others have or what we expect as what we expect our mock draft, what we expected our life to be like at that moment, or what would have helped our life the best in that moment, and it doesn't work. And we say, God, I know myself pretty well. This seemed like the appropriate path. This seemed like it would bring me a lot of joy and happiness. Why did it not happen? Or consequentially, why did I have to suffer through this? Why did I have to lose a family member? Or maybe suffer through a class or go through financial problems, marriage problems, whatever. But we have to look at it short term and long term. And God, anyone that's in a marriage or in a relationship knows that short-term gains sometimes can trump like the long-term benefits, and sometimes doing something for yourself in the short term can have really bad consequences in the long term. So sometimes we think, God, your plan is confusing. I don't understand. I thought you loved me. I mean, look at the baptism of Jesus. Well, like, this is my son. I love him. But look at Jesus's life. Jesus' life in the short term or in the moment wasn't necessarily the best thing. He had to flee to Egypt when he was a child. He suffered a lot of persecution during his years of ministry and he died. And he also spent 30 years at home before he even started his public ministry. Well, why? This doesn't make sense. What? Go through the short term or what we think is best isn't necessarily the best. In some. Am I saying the Packers had a phenomenal draft? I hope we can look 5 years down the road and say Packers killed it. You know, AJ Dillon is a stud. Jordan Love's a stud. All these guys, great draft. But all I do is I challenge you. If prayer has been tough this week, if you've been having a hard day at work or in school, struggling with friends or family, you can look at God and say, God, why are you making it tough now? I thought you loved me, or I thought you'd want what's best for me, but say, no, God, I know you love me. Or maybe I don't know it, but I know other people who know it, and I know there's places that say you love me. Help me to realize that sometimes the short-term gains, the short-term greatness in life, those moments that make you feel happy or joyous or whatever, are great, but sometimes that long term is where we figure out how much God loves us, figure out his plan for us, and ultimately figure out that joy and lasting fulfillment that only comes from God. See you later, guys.